Hey everybody, it's Pastor John with your Midweek Moment for this week. And as you can see, I am speaking to you from inside our beautifully repainted sanctuary, but I'm not here to give you another tour. And there are two reasons for that. The first reason is that at this point, there is no more progress to show you inside the church because the painters are all done and packed up and gone. The second reason I'm not going to give you a tour is because you're going to be able to see all this for yourself in just a few more days when we reopen the church on Sunday the 20th. And you know, the reason that we've been able to do that is because of the tremendous progress that Connecticut and the states around Connecticut have made in terms of getting people vaccinated against COVID-19. I don't know if you're aware of this, but of the top 10 states who have the most people vaccinated against COVID-19, 8 of them are in the Northeast, and the top 6 are the 6 New England states: Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. The other 2 northeastern states in the top 10 are the states of New Jersey and New York. And what that means is not just that we're going to be able to reopen the church in a couple of days, but it also means that it's probably not going to be very long before we're going to be able to lift just the couple of restrictions that we're going to have on worship when we get together. When folks get back together again on the 20th, you're not going to be able to sing for a little while at least, and we're not going to pass the offering plates or pass communion on Communion Sundays, just because we have those lingering concerns about the pandemic. But like I said, at the rate people here in the Northeast are getting vaccinated, I think it probably won't be very long before we're able to lift even those couple of restrictions. And since we are so close to reopening the church, I thought I would take just a couple of minutes today and reflect with you for just a couple of minutes about just how far our church has come in the past 14 months, and then talk to you just a little bit about where our church may be headed in the future in the next couple of months. And you know, when I think about how far our church has come in the past 14 months, I think about this. If you will, try to think back just 14 months to the beginning of March of last year. Now, if you can remember back that far, how many of you thought that just 14 months later, just a little bit over a year, that we would be able to live stream our worship services on YouTube? How many of you thought that we'd be able to pre-record special services and make those available on YouTube? How many people thought that we'd be able to do things like this Midweek Moment or have Mrs. DeLuca's weekly online children's messages? How many people thought that we would have a weekly email newsletter? How many of you thought that we would be able to do our Bible study and our book group and our church meetings live via Zoom? How many of you thought that the church would invest nearly $10,000, not just in buying the equipment that we need to do all of these things, but also investing money in paying a media person to help us out with all those things? Or let me make it really simple for you. How many of you thought 14 months ago that we would even have Wi-Fi in the church? My guess is nobody thought that we would be able to do those things 14 months ago. But the reality is we can do all of them today. The fact of the matter is, when our church reopens in just a couple of days, we are going to be able to do things. We're going to be able to do all sorts of things that none of us would have even imagined would have been possible just a little bit over a year ago. It's not just, painting the sanctuary and painting Culbertson Hall and things like that. It's all of these technical things. In some ways, when folks come back on the 20th, you're going to be coming back in some ways to a really new church. It's not just going to look new, but we're going to be able to do all sorts of new things. And in the next couple of months, let's say, the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to be doing things to sort of capitalize and to further develop all of these new skills that we have learned over the past year. And right now, we've got a digital ministry team, and they're looking at 3 very important things for our future. And they're looking at a new website, they're looking at online giving, and they're looking at a marketing program for the church. We're looking at a new website because even though our website is really about 3 years old, it was designed before we were able to do all of these new things. So it wasn't designed for video. It wasn't designed for integration with, your various, what do you call those things? Facebook and things like that. All of those things. It shows you how much of that stuff I do myself. But the fact of the matter is our website wasn't designed to work with those things. And we've learned how to do lots of new things. We have lots of new things that we're able to share with folks outside the church. And we're looking at the possibility of having a new website that is optimized to do all of the new things that we can do now. We're looking at an online giving program. Well, I'll tell you a story about that. I have a really good friend named Mandy. About a month ago, maybe a month and a half now, I was down in Old Saybrook and I was having lunch with her. And Mandy is one of those people who has been very faithfully watching our online services. I would say 2 or 3 weeks out of the month, Mandy is watching our services online. And when we were having lunch, we were talking about all this stuff, and she said, "John, how can I send money to the church? How can I help support what your church does?" And I said, "Well, unless you want to mail us a check, you really can't." And the thing about Mandy is, since Mandy's still in her 30s, Mandy couldn't even write us a check if she wanted to, because Mandy doesn't have a checkbook. I don't think Mandy's ever written a check in her life. And if she doesn't want to mail us a check, there's no way she can support what we do here. Bill Dahl told me a similar story several months ago. He's got some friends in North Carolina. They have also been faithfully watching our services online, and they also wanted to help support the church financially. But once again, Bill had to say, "Well, unless you can mail us a check, you really can't." And now think about that, what that means. That means there are people out there in internet land who literally want to give us money but can't. Now, it seems to me you don't have to have an MBA from Harvard to realize that if you have people out there who want to give you money, you need to find a way to be able to let them give you money. So that's one of the reasons we're working on an online giving program. And then as far as the marketing program goes, that's something we're trying to develop to help get the word out about our church and about all the good things that are going on here. And if you stop to think about it, one of the things that the pandemic has taught us is that it's taught us just how badly people need to hear about what's going on here at our church. We've all learned over the course of the past 14 months just how bitterly divided our nation is, just how angry it is, just how like I said, bitterly divided one kind of people are against another sort of people. But if you stop to think about our church, we really offer people another sort of model for a way to live. Because if you think about it, we've got all sorts of people in our church. We've got Republicans and Democrats and independents. We've got conservatives and liberals and moderates. And even though we all have our disagreements and disputes from time to time, we all find a way to work it out. We all find a way to live together. And that's something that people in our country desperately need to hear about these days. They need to hear and see that there's an alternative. That there's another way they can live besides the way they're living now. Also, I think another thing we've learned over the course of the 14 months is that there are lots of people out there who are looking for community. There are lots of people out there looking for a place where they can be accepted no matter who they are. There are people out there who are looking for meaning in their lives. There are people out there who are looking for purpose. And those are all things that our church is good at. We're good at acceptance. We're good at community. We're good at meaning. We're good at purpose. So when we develop a marketing plan, it's not just to encourage people to come to church. It's also to show people about all of the things that our church can do to help them. The idea behind it really is that the community needs our church just as much as our church needs people from the community. So that's what you've got. Just a little summary of where we've been over the course of the past 14 months and a little introduction to where we may be going in the immediate future. And I'll close by saying I'm really excited. I'm excited, of course, that we're going to be able to come back to church here on the 20th, but I'm even more excited about the future because I think the things that we have learned to do over the past 14 months have put us in a great position, a position really none of us could have imagined. a position that we are in that is going to help us to grow our church and to reach out to others in ways that we couldn't have even imagined just a little bit over a year ago. Amen.